contributing significantly to revenue growth and customer satisfaction by increasing the IT headcount to 250 within just 8 months of operation.
Job, and that got me closer to a CEO. What my supervisor in the US, suggested me for that approach. I had the golden opportunity creating solution for $2 billion deals. So from a ESG standpoint, and it's still in its nascent stage, in my opinion.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. My name is Taneol, and I'm an anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry veterans to come together to share their knowledge, ideas, thoughts, and best practices with one another, as well as with upcoming industry leaders. We have one such industry heavyweight on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Ravindran Chandrasekaran. We welcome you on the show, sir.
Hey, Tanay, very good morning. And that was a very, very energetic introduction, and I'm really humbled with every word that you've said. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking out the time.
Currently, he is spearheading the establishment of Capability Center for Ashley India, achieving a significant milestone by increasing the IT headcount to 250 within just 8 months of operation. His strategic leadership has been pivotal in driving operational excellence, talent management, and client satisfaction. So, sir, our viewers would like to know in brief about your career journey so far.
Absolutely, Tanay. I'll probably go in a little bit of reverse chronological order. My memory works when I travel back in time. My first job I got in the year of 2001. That was the first recession that hit my lifetime. And back then, I was in a scavenging mode for jobs, and then I did my MCSE certification just for the mere sake of a job. And I landed in a call center. So that was my start. And I was there to provide support for all Compact Presarios, HP, all their suite of products. Life was interesting. I used to step into the day, and it was a night job. And for those who were in their deep sleep, that's when my digestion really starts. So that's how I started my career. And every day was interesting. Every phone call was interesting. Every problem was unique. But what I learned from that first job, of course, the first job is special for everyone, and you learn the most because you're open with lots of thoughts, and you want to share, you want to listen, and you get the most out of your first job. That's how my job was also. And every day I was bubbling with enthusiasm, and one fine night, not one fine day for its sakes, I was approached to get into this very coveted team called Total Customer Ownership. Now, this was there was a lot of buzz in the office that, hey, I think there is a new team formed, and it's going to be an allied group, and you get to handle new things. Well, after the first couple of hours, I realized I was going to specialize in handling only angry, irate, upset customers. So that's how they introduced me to it. And it was interesting. And I used to handle only about 8 to 10 of these cases. They call it cases. The reason I'm giving this wrong prelude to this discussion about my career journey is I think it was my first job. Now that I turn back after 2.5 decades, what's unique and interesting about my first job is it taught me customer centricity, customer empathy, and a very strong focal point for troubleshooting, listening, making journals on what was discussed with the customer, follow up and closure. Now, if you take any job for that matter in the industry, I think it's the first important point starts with just customer being your center of business. And the end is, leaving the customer with a happy face and a smile. So that was my first job. And I think it taught me a lot. And it was only spanning for about 1.5 years. And I have about 20 plus years of experience. And I still remember what it taught me. I think that's what I feel special about my first job. My second job was almost the same, and now it is called Fidelity Investments. I was a systems engineer. I used to do Rackup for profile creation of users, and defense at that point in time was specializing in financial fraud, and they had products around it. They used to beat check systems. All the frauds in the industry used to beat check systems and all of it, and we used to create profiles for applications and users that we used to manage those applications. And what's special about that job? That job again lasted for about 1.5 years or so, but I learned that I poured whatever I got from my first job into the second job, and that got me closer to a CEO award because I found an application in one of the application that thousands and thousands of users log in on a daily basis, and my supervisor in the US, suggested me for that award. It got nominated. I didn't get picked, but then it taught me that even in a night job, you can get nominated for a CEO award. So that was my takeaway on the second job. Now, the third job is is what taught me what information technology is all about. Computer Sciences Corporation, now called as DXC. If you notice, there's a second company that got renamed in a span of within just a couple of decades. So, I mean, the point is business keeps evolving. There are stakeholders who are still looking for expanding their horizon. So, and this is my second company where it got merged with HP. Now, this company, I think it taught me the best of both worlds, product management and service management in information technology. Now, this took me to the next level of my learnings and foundations in information technology. I got to learn, how you do gap fitment for a product need for a customer. I learned how to customize it. I learned to how when you can customize it versus when you configure a product for a thousands of users in the market. Um, Further, that was the first stint of my time in CSE, which was about roughly about 8 to 10 years. The second stint was when I got into handling specific customers, and this was more into services side of the world, where you take a whole lot of application and then you look at it from a standpoint how you can run that portfolio better, how you can do maintenance support of IT application systems, and then how can you really enhance the applications to better serve the business needs. And then further, you write lots of managed services contract, which are long-term needs. You provide services from an information technology standpoint for go-to-market initiatives. You transform application platforms, rewrite applications if required, sunset applications, and so on and so forth. All the good stuff that you can think of under the sun of the IT industry. So the fourth job uh, is what is also very close to my heart. It was with Cognizant. With Cognizant, I think it's, in my personal opinion, it's one of the best brand in the world that has been ever created by mankind. And that's because of two important reasons. One, they know how to do, be client centric. Number two, they taught me how to do business at scale. And till that point, I joined Cognizant. I think I learned how to do one program at a time or focus at two customers at a time. But Cognizant really taught me how to scale operations. In fact, when I left Cognizant, I was managing a portfolio about 30 plus million. And prior to that, as a delivery leader, I was handling a portfolio of about 40 million US dollars. Now, both these jobs were for the best brands that you can think of in the world. Great American, Prudential, all Fortune 500, the top 50 Fortune 50 companies. In that stint, I had the golden opportunity of working on $2 billion, creating solution for $2 billion deals. The one was for transforming the underwriting operations, and the other one was about rebadging in an entire region of one of a leading North American insurance. It and an opportunity to set up their entire IT operations in India, and that's how you pointed out that we scaled about 250 employees in a record period of 8 months. And as we stand, we have already hit about 300, and they've also opened up for other capabilities into India.
You've been involved in digital transformation and business growth initiatives. Can you elaborate on a specific instance of leading the most successful digital transformation project?
Sure. There are two or three that are very close to my heart, and I will start with the first one for again a North American insurance company. Now we sold our product to them, and after few years, they came up with a go-to-market initiative where they wanted to improve their underwriters' experience, agency experience, and make better business decisions to look at their book of business risks a little closer. And one of the automation from a digital transformation standpoint, right? I mean, majority of the digital transformation engagements are where you take paper printouts or you do what is manual and you automate it and you make it and you digitize it. And there is also another version of it where you digitize a complete digital workflow. I mean, a workflow that you want to digitize or a process that is weaker with multiple manual touch points into a digital transformation. So that's what we did for this insurance carrier. And the business wanted to up their auto acceptance of risk of the amount of insurance that they sign up every year. So as simple as that. So previously it could have been 87%. They wanted to take it to a 94% based on a exposure to risk. But obviously the book of business has multiple millions of money involved in it. And a 1% of error can also do a significant damage by accepting that risk. So we rewrote their entire underwriting system and rating system for multiple line of business for their auto, home, and commercial lines also. So that was a significant project that is very close to my heart because we had to work with the actuarials, we had to do multiple iterations till we got to the point of 95% handpick risks, working with actuarials to say, hey, this is good for you, this is bad for you. Looking at the customers who procure insurance, who hop between countries because of weather conditions and tell them, hey, this is a pattern, this is an acceptable risk. So it was a fantastic experience that we worked hand in hand with the business. Secondly, I think mostly the objectives of these digitalization engagements are focused on improving mankind's quality of life, isn't it? I think one couple of such projects were also around cancer benefit worksheet, where it was a smaller book of business for this insurance carrier. This was a different one. And they wanted to digitize their entire paperwork right from the point they get a call and there is a call coming in for cancer coverage, and they send in fact sheets, and some of these are readable, some of these are not. But that was the first part where we had to digitize their entire workflow. The second part was the same customer, based on the success of the first engagement, they wanted to set up an entire medical record center of excellence, not just for cancer, for their entire exposure of disease that they had. So that was a grand success as well. I think those were three things where we were able to transform the lives of the business, transform the quality of life for humans. So those engagements are really close to my heart.
So you have been honored with several awards and recognitions. Which one of them do you cherish the most and why?
I have won a few. I'm really grateful to my leaders for choosing me for those. Specifically, that the ones that are close. I mean, I did win one for a top talent. I won one for a business continuity. We as a team won for the best performing customer satisfaction portfolio. Of these, I think the one that stays very close to my heart is the People Leader of the Year award. I was pleasantly taken back by surprise by my boss and my super boss as well. I think until that point, I was heads down on business, learning, and all of it. But then when you are suddenly pleasantly, woken up by traits that you didn't know, and I think I always had inside taking people along for success. And I didn't know that I was actually doing it until the point my super boss said, I think you have a flat to do it. You have a flat to tell people what you want them to do. You have a flat to tell people how they should do it, and you have a flat to tell people what they shouldn't do in a nice and subtle way. I think the Cognizant People Leader of the Year award was a surprise to me, and it opened up a quadrant or a trait that I thought I was not really strong and powerful. And since then, I've been trying to capitalize on that. I started believing that I have a people edge now. So thanks to all the leaders who have made that happen.
So what kindled your interest in ESG and corporate governance?
Well, so from a ESG standpoint, I think there are multiple facets that are out there, and it's still in its nascent stage, in my opinion. And I'll call few areas that caught my attention. And the first one is basically the lack of standardization and disclosure in the industry today. And the reason why I say that is there are multiple frameworks for ESG factors that drives an industry or a company in the market today, and there's a lot of inconsistency. I'll pick an example. Let's say a company A that is in coal mining or ethanol production, they report a set of ESG factors that they get evaluated by the company, right? And similarly, company B has a similar they are into similar business of producing coal mining or any other metals for that matter, and they are into ethanol production. Company A could be scoring high based on what they have disclosed, and company B could be scoring low because of factors that they didn't disclose or they didn't disclose consistently. And I think the framework as such doesn't exist in the market today. And coming from an IT background, I can see why, right? We also see the same when we look at, we read annual statements of our IT customers that comes to us. Company A could be in the same geography, same region. We know that the person is a player regionally, and it's a super player regionally. It's a super service provider for certain aspects of coverage in the insurance industry. So I think from a comparability of data and enabling the end investor for better decision making in terms of investment is critically important. And I see that there is a strong inconsistency that makes a case in for the future ESG aspect. So similarly, on number two, the data quality and the verifiability of this is still at its very nascent stage. Many companies rely on self-reported data, and they are most often than not inconsistent or incomplete. And what I feel is for independent investors, the verifiability and ESG disclosures are pivotal. And how do you create and give them a hallmark, or for example an ISI standard or any of these that gives that investor that credibility and fostering trust among stakeholders is extremely important. So that's number two in my opinion. Number three is the materiality and the focus areas for industries and companies. And some of these, just like the fact that the industry is very open and nascent from a learning standpoint, the companies and industries are also observing what is essential for their business to focus on from an ESG theme or relevance standpoint. And how do they need to really prioritize all the resources and make sure they are effective about it. So the materiality and focus of every industry and companies are, the need for that is growing because the SEBI is going to push, not just SEBI, the equity markets throughout the globe are going to be focused on how do we standardize, globalize, what works in region A and geography A is shared across multiple geographies and regions as well. So I think by addressing all of these, the improvements that will really reap multifold results to both the investors and the regulators and other stakeholders is my opinion, Tane.
As an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
Yeah. I believe my first job and my current job has gave me certain characteristics and traits that I strongly believe. I mean, that's what make us what we are. And in that order, ESG demands a lot of uh, ethical practices in the industry. And being an ethical leader is you know is easier said than done. What's important for the company is also highly important for the society. That's what ESG is all about. You can, in the three alphabets of ESG, environment, social, and governance, the stalwarts in the ESG industry today says if you take care of the environment and you do real good for the society, the governance automatically follows. So I believe as an ethical leader practicing in the IT industry, I bring a strong high standard for integrity, transparency, and accountability in the decision-making process of the board of the company. And making sustainable business is extremely important, and championing an sustainable business and staying focused on go-to-market initiative is while that's important, making sure that it's sustainable for the long term is extremely important. There are companies that we have seen in the industries that make they diversify 3 to 5 side or peripheral value chain, and they have failed a lot. And I think also the champions in the industries also have told us making 1 to 2 change in 3 to 5 years and then growing sustainably is important. So I'm a sustainable leader, and I think that's something I bring to the table. Thirdly, the risk management aspects from a corporate governance perspective, which plays a very critical role, identifying that and looking at metrics day in and day out, forming and improving and constantly improving the framework from the last 6 months or the last quarter to this quarter, looking at weak spots, hard spots, identifying a risk-based business approach is extremely important. And finally, all of this will have to go back and feed into the stakeholder, because if the stakeholder is not happy, your business is not going to grow. I think from my long stint of IT career, I bring a strong stakeholder management aspect and being an effective advocate on engaging best practices and ensuring that company listens to the stakeholder and consider the perspective of diverse stakeholders. So that's another aspect of it. Finally, the value creation today. I think not just today, which will be an emerging trend, just like one of the key important factors is value creation. The business value management is extremely pivotal to any business in the industry today. And there are multiple factors that contributes for value creation, not only for the shareholder, but for the stakeholder also. And it's about finding that thin line between the shareholder and the stakeholder in terms of value creation. And it's extremely important to hit hard on that line to make sure you build resilient trust and long-term sustainable growth. So those are areas that I think I have strong towering strengths in, and I think that will definitely add to the ESG of. Thank you.
So, what are some ways you envision technological advents, namely IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, cloud, digital twin, big data, and Web 3.0 disrupting your field?
Tanay, that's a loaded question, and I'll probably make it a little relevant to your previous question on ESG. That's an attempt of the future that not just me, a lot of industry stalwarts are also aiming and shooting for. I think we have, as industry experts, focused on one problem statement or a group of problem statement that impacts the life of an industry. Now, when it comes to ESG as a theme or a concept, um, keeping eyes and ears, all six senses of human open on the environment is what the art of possibility for ESG is. That's what's going to determine the evolution of ESG, in my opinion. Now, let's say we take the first one, the IoTs, right? Just imagine the sensors and that humans are going to come up with to make sure all the environment parameters when you conduct business, for example, the air quality, energy consumption, enabling better management and conserving energy, all these embedded internet of things that are going to get attached to the business in constant listening mode, feeding back into the business, right? We don't have, I mean, not a lot of them. Some of them do have. I'm not going to demean that efforts of those proactive business leaders, but there is there is a huge opportunity to be observant. The fact the opportunity for observability is very high, and I believe Internet of Things is going to solve for that in the future. Secondly, from an AI and ML standpoint, these technology analyze vast amounts of data, and the amount of data in the future that's going to pour in from IoT device, AI and ML is going to evolve far more, make autonomous decisions in optimizing business decision, optimizing processes in an autonomous mode, and predicting more for a sustainable future. So I think that's what AI and ML is going to bring to the table. In that series, I think the next is going to be the blockchain and the cloud computing. And blockchain, I think, is going to ensure transparency, which is the hardest factor of making sure ESG is successful in the industry. What company A produces may be 100% accurate, but you don't know whether it's 100% accurate unless you have verified and you have very validation controls in place to make sure it is done. So imagine your supply chain has verification and authentication mechanism for sustainable practices, and then enables transactions for things like carbon credits. So it's no more in the future a manual process that carbon credits are given to conglomerates and corporates just like that. There is going to be a system that the entire geography agrees to, and they barter and trade these carbon credits in exchange of good practices. And similarly, cloud computing, like it stands today, there's going to be scalable infrastructure to support all of what I said before, your Internet of Things, your AI and ML, blockchain. And today, I think cloud computing is plateaued to an extent, but I think I see a strong business case for cloud computing in the area of ESG so that it becomes a shared platform for investors. Today, even in the equity market, there is petabytes of data based on which financial institutions and domestic institutions make these decisions. And I think ESG is going to be one such area as well. Similarly, the digital twin, this is just a imagination of several experts in the industry that I'm bringing out here, creating virtual models of physical or systems, allowing for real-time behavior that you want to simulate at some point in time. It could be even minimizing if your factors, ESG factors, goes up by 5 times or reduced by 2 times, what's going to be the effect on your business. So you need a digital twin that can automate and think like real physical assets in your organization. And to do all of this, you need to have large computing power. That's where big data comes into picture. It gains a lot of insights from your business, insights from your consumers, and it has to make data-driven decisions. So all of that is going to be possible only when you have a big data factory. And finally, the Web 3.0, which is just round the corner, and that's going to decentralize all of this for the ESG industry, making autonomous decisions, creating a lot of DOAs for community-driven, sustainable projects, and enhanced data privacy and ownership. So that's the loaded answer. But in short, I think technology has a lot to offer to the ESG space, and each of these IT levers will be absolutely active in coming decades and going to take ESG to the next level.
So we're building a community here of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. What are your thoughts about this initiative taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
I think let me start with a big gratitude statement to Zishan Patan. I recently did my independent director certification, and ESG is on its way, and digital director is going to be the third. There is no biggest feeling. I mean, the entire cosmos also operate in one sense, right? I mean, eh, the human nature is to make a better version of itself. I think Zishan and Havel are creating that environment, creating that community for each other to share that. If you look at these live sessions from the industry stalwarts, I don't think you can get those perspectives by talking to your neighbor or your colleague in the office. They take a lot of effort. It involves a lot of calories to bring, conduct, and make sure the best of the industry is brought to this community. And the community also upgrade themselves on a weekly, monthly basis. Every live session that I hear, there are at least 3 to 5 things that I've never experienced or never heard in the past. I think they are doing a phenomenal job. And given that the current trend that the industry is running out of ESG experts, independent directors, probably would have never known to the entire community if they didn't really flag it off. They're not only doing a great, help to this community of experts, but they are doing a phenomenal job to the nation as such, is my opinion.
Great, sir. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will truly inspire future leaders. Thank you so much for joining us today and wish you the best for your future endeavors, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tanay, for patiently listening to all of what I said. It was a great platform, and it was a great interaction session today. And thank you so much for your time as well.
Pleasure's all mine, sir. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you.